I was born to my mother, who was living in a housing project where every month we didn't have food to eat. It was literally like a calendar experience. On the 27th of the month, there was no food in the refrigerator, not even a piece of bread, where sometimes we would have to literally an hour to stand in a food line to wait for them to give us a block of cheese, bread, and butter, and then walk an hour back on an empty stomach. This is what I was raised in. And so it's so interesting, the stress that you experience, one, not having, two, seeing your mother not have and go through such sorrowful experiences. And then we talk about the food deprivation and the foods that we were actually eating with the little money that we had. That was my entire childhood. The only time I got out of poverty, in parentheses, was the way out was to college.
Where were you? So were you in Philadelphia?
Philadelphia, yes.
Philadelphia. And, dad, brothers and sisters, anything?
Father was, so my mother, this is my self-diagnosis. So my
Hmm.
mother wanted love in such the most beautiful way. Like, we all want to be loved, and she was seeking love. And she was seeking love from male, because I think, especially in that time, to be married and to have a husband or to have a male partner was like the ideal thing. And so she was seeking this through males and it finding the wrong one. So my brother, sister, and I all have three different fathers. And I don't know if I've ever shared that. And so my father happened to be the only one that would sporadically pop up. My father's from Angola, Africa. And he was not in my life. He would pop in and then he would pop out. And when he would pop in, he would say, "Oh, this is not poverty. Experience Africa. Experience where I come from." And that's poverty, right? And so that was his statement. And I actually did get to experience Africa about 2 years ago, and it is true. It's a different type of poverty, and so I understand that. But trauma is trauma in every experience. Wherever you are, your traumatic experience doesn't negate someone else's, and that's what I experienced. So that's even another level of trauma, where you have a father that comes sometimes, never shows up, says they're going to show up, never shows up. You're waiting at the window, at the door, hungry because he said he was going to come and bring food or bring money, and he never shows up. And so imagine these mental traumas that you're experiencing along with the physical experience. And I love sharing that because that's all stress, right? We think of it as poverty, but when you think of poverty, it's just consistent loads of stress on the body and on the
Right.
mind. And how do you navigate out of those stressful mindsets to get to a life that you deserve to live?
And how do you, like you mentioned, when you go through that type of trauma as a child in your formidable years, even in, early like teens and 20s, or any time that you go through trauma, it does have an impact on your genes, on your cell, like your expression of your DNA. And so how do you live with that as part of your story, but overcome? And I think anybody would look at you and think, oh, she did it. Like, you
Mhm.
went through one of the most traumatic childhoods that anybody could, and yet here you are.
Mhm. It's consistent though. Like, and here's the truth. When you're in a very challenging predicament, you are not thinking about stress. Like,
Mm-mm.
stress is the last, like, I'm at 45 realizing, like, oh, that was stress. But no one is present, that you're trying to not experience the experiences that you're having. You're not even understanding the impact that it has on your body.
Right.
That
You don't have
awareness
that
doesn't,
luxury.
you don't have that luxury to think that this is impacting my body, that the foods there's no fresh foods around me, there's no vegetables around me at all. This is the impact on my mind, and I'm actually trying to go to school and learn. I have a huge dream now, like to have a farm to give fresh fruits and vegetables to inner city individuals that are in impoverished situations. Because I start to realize you actually, Kirsten, really helped guide me on my health and food journey, especially when I went through my hysterectomy journey. And I start to eat fresh foods and really vegetables and really start to embody that for healing. But as I went through that, I start to realize how powerful that was mentally for my mental state and my stress level and my wellness overall. How the foods that you eat, like you said, really impact the ultimate outcome of who you are.
Yeah, I saw Leah talk about transform. I mean, she's had many transformative times in her life, but absolutely going from being in pain and bleeding a lot
Yes.
and not in a healthy body. I always say that our bodies are healthy. They want to be healthy. They
Yeah.
default to healthy, but something was going on. There was inflammation in your body that your body was not acting in its healthy state. And when you were getting ready for surgery and we worked together a little bit and you started eating only whole foods from quality soil, and we cut out
Yes.
a lot there for a little while, and then you had this amazing life-giving surgery. I don't love surgery. I think cutting's always the last resort, but there's a lot of times when it has to happen. It had to happen for you. It had to happen for me, and I'm
Yeah.
healthier than I've ever been afterwards. And now, I mean, it's been a year and
A
you are
year.
so healthy.
Good. So good. And it's the food journey, and it's really being intentional about what your mind and body is going through and what you're putting your mind and body under. Instead, then I start to think about my child self, right?
Mhm.
And all the things that I had to get through with deprivation of nutrients.
Mm.
And how you still can survive through that, and then how beautiful it is when you are provided the opportunity, the economic circumstance, the powerful circle like you and people around you that can pour into you and share knowledge, and then that you are capable to be able to obtain that knowledge and then utilize it, the transformation that you can actually go through. It's so powerful.